Boy, it is hot in Washington, D.C. right now. It's like 90 degrees and room is warming up really quickly. I can't use air conditioning because I'm recording a sound. Bear with me. Today I'm starting a new series of videos about composition in photography. The first episode will be about leading lines in composition. What are leading lines? The composition technique where the eyes of the viewer directed by elements in composition that create visual lines or pathways to the focal point of the image to bring attention to the main subject of the photograph. The best example of this technique is an image of a road pulling one into landscape. Leading lines are very useful technique in both video and photography. First, here are a few examples of my video footage I filmed in different countries around the world. After that, I will show you a few photography examples and we'll talk in more detail. How to use this technique? First, decide what is the idea behind your photograph. Ask yourself, why am I taking this picture in the first place? Then you can look for the elements that create visual paths to your subject. I took this picture early in the morning in New Hampshire, USA. Leading lines of the road take your attention to the lonely car in the fog. Bridge Ponte Vecchio in Florence, Italy. River is another good example of the classic leading lines composition technique. Lines of the buildings on both sides with reflection in the water create very directional tunnel-like effect. Stairway to the apartment on the island of Mykonos in Greece. Houses in Greek islands traditionally painted white, which allowed me to create this simple minimalistic composition. World-famous view from the roof of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican. Lines of the surrounding buildings take your attention to the circle of the main square of the Vatican and beyond. Somewhat similar composition with Duomo in Florence, Italy. I took this picture with fisheye lens which created curved horizon line. San Francisco, California, USA. Photograph in twilight after the sunset with beautiful pink color reflection on the buildings from the glowing sky. Long exposure created light tracks from the car traffic going down the market street. Skyline of Minneapolis in Minnesota, USA. Another classic example how roads work as leading lines in composition. Famous Hotel Negresco in Nice, France. Long exposure created light tracks along the road. I used palm trees to frame the building, which is another composition technique called framing. I will be talking about it in one of my future videos. Night view of the Kremlin in Moscow, Russia. River and the road create strong directional lines. Aqueduct in Segovia in Spain. Amazing Roman structure still standing after more than 2000 years. Architectural lines and shadows on the street create powerful image. Bridge on the canal in beautiful Amsterdam in Netherlands. I took this picture at night with reflections on the ice in the water. It was winter around 6-7 p.m. with lots of street lights and bright windows in the buildings. Amsterdam is absolutely fantastic place to photograph. Roman bridge at night in Cordoba, Spain. Leading lines composition technique works best when lines go from foreground to the background, creating strong visual direction. National Art Gallery in Washington, D.C., USA. I used white marble sculpture as diagonal leading line to the people in the gallery. Wide angle lens increases dynamic effect. Most of the previous images were about architecture. Leading lines composition technique can also be used to photograph people. I photographed this model in Cancun, Mexico. Lines of the pier created very simple composition with model in the center. Lifestyle shoot on the bridge in Washington, D.C., USA. Telephoto lens allowed me to use shallow focus on the running model to separate her from the background. Another example of lifestyle photography. Bridge railings direct viewer attention to the model. In this photograph I use model's hands as leading lines to her face.